33, verse 10. The pasuk says, "Yoru mishpatecha Yaakov." Levite's responsibility will be to teach your laws. Rashi says, "Ru'uyin ilu lekach." They are fit for this. V'toratcha Yisrael, and your Torah to Israel. Yasimu kitorah ba'apecha. They will place incense before your presence. V'chalil al mizbechecha, and they will place burnt offerings on your altar. So I just want to point out that we see here what was the primary job. If we had to say what was the primary job of the Levites, well, their primary job was to be teachers. Yeah, they were supposed to serve in the security or ceremonial service of security, and also assist as musicians in the temple, and also to the Kohanim had to serve in the temple, but those service in the temples were really only 2 weeks a year. But the primary job, the rest of the year, was they were supposed to be teachers. They were both supposed to be teaching the laws and the Torah to Israel. Hello there, Moshe. Great to see you. We're chapter 33, verse 11. Barech Hashem chelo ufol yadav tertzeh. Blessed Hashem, his possessions, and favor the work of his hands. Mechatz masnayim kamav, strike down his opponents to the masnayim, which is his loins. Umisanav minyikamun, and his enemies that they cannot rise. Rashi says, Makasna masnayim, give him a blow to the loins. Where's the loins? Dan, where's the loins? Where's what? So basically, the loins, I think, is the midsection, but it's not the genitalia. It's the basically the mid. The pagers went off sometimes on the belt, but sometimes in the hands. Yeah. Yep, this is the blow. Umasneim tamid, always topple them. Moshe said this with regard to those who raise objections about the priesthood. Alternatively, Moshe saw in a prophecy, he saw in the future that the Chashmonaim and his sons were destined to wage war against the Greeks. And he prayed for them, because there were a few, 12 sons of Chashmonai and Elazar, against many thousands of Greeks. Therefore, it says, Barech Hashem chelo bol yadav tertzeh. Meaning to say that not only were the Levites mighty in the time of Moses, but he refers to the Kohanim, or the descendants, who were the ones who led the rebellion against the Greeks. So the Kohanim were the mighty warriors. The religious leaders were also the military leaders. The Talmud discusses that the Kohanim were very strong, and they used to like to eat raw meat. That means to say that they were mighty in that sense also. Umisanav min yikumun. Mechatz kamav umisanav, smash his enemies. Mioslam tekuma, from having a rising. Meaning to say, smash him down. Don't let him rise up. What? Yeah, the Torah doesn't. People say, "Oh, turn the other cheek." There is a reference to that in the Hebrew Bible. There is a reference to that, but it's not the primary theme. The phrase does come from the Book of Lamentations. From the Book of Lamentations, there it says it. I think it's in chapter 2, but clearly it's not the theme of the 5 books of Moses. The 5 books of Moses is crush the enemies. Crush the enemies. Levinya Minamar, now we're up to, so now we've discussed the tribe of Reuven, and we did this tribe of Judah. no. We did the tribe of Reuven, Judah, Levi, and now we go to Binyamin. It seems so random. So Rashi had to explain why Judah came next to Reuven, because they both confessed their sins. And then we go back to Levi, and also Shimon's blessing was absorbed in Judah's. But now we go to Benjamin. Why are we up to Benjamin? Well, let's see what Rashi says. With Binyamin Amar, to Benjamin, he said, Yedid Hashem, may Hashem's beloved tell securely, Levetach alav, securely for him, Cholfei alav kol hayom, he hovers over him, Uvein keteifav shechein, and he rests between his shoulders. This is an often cited verse. So first of all, we have to talk about why is Benjamin the blessing here now? What's Benjamin doing here? So Rashi says, because since the blessing of Levi was in service in the sacrifices, and Benjamin, where was the temple built? In Benjamin's territory. B'binyan Beis HaMikdash b'chelko. And Benjamin had the construction of the temple in his portion. So Moshe put them next to each other. And he put the blessing of Joseph immediately after Benjamin. Why? Because he also had a special relationship with the sacrificial service, because the Mishkan was built in Joseph's property. So he goes from Levi, which is the service in the temple, to Benjamin, because he had the temple in his territory, and then Joseph, because Joseph had the Mishkan in his territory. And it says, Vayimas ba'ol Yosef, he rejected the tent of Joseph. And then it says, and because the temple was more precious to God than the tabernacle, therefore he put Benjamin before Joseph. Yes, you had a question, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm sorry, where are we?
We are up to chapter 33 of Deuteronomy, verse 12.
Thank you, 33:12. Thanks.
So it says, he hovers over him, and he shields him. He hovers over him and he shields him. And then it says, Kolayom, meaning to say forever. Once Jerusalem was chosen, the divine presence did not rest in another place. Meaning the divine presence, the Mishkan, was in other places, but once Jerusalem was chosen, it's not going to rest anywhere else. But I do have a caveat that Maimonides says we don't really know what will happen in the time of the Messiah. So even though it says it's not going to rest anywhere else, theoretically a prophet could come and tell us that it will rest somewhere else. Theoretically, I mean, this is a controversial idea, but it doesn't mean it's going to rest in Japan. It just means maybe it'll be moved over like a few inches on the Temple Mount, or maybe it'll we don't know exactly. And now this is the idea, it's very important. Uvein k'teifav shechein. It will dwell between Benjamin's shoulders. What does that mean? At a high point of Benjamin's land, the temple was built at the high point of Benjamin's land, but it was 23 amos lower than Ein Etam. Ein Etam was a spring whose waters flowed through a narrow channel into the mikvah located at the water gate of the wall that surrounded the temple courtyard. So there was a channel, and that was higher than the Temple Mount, and the water flowed into the Temple Mount, which was otherwise the high point. And that's where David decided to build a temple.
According to Steinsaltz, the Temple Mount is not the highest mountain in the area. The Mount of Olives, Mount Scopus, and Mount Zion is higher. Therefore, it is referred to as between the shoulders. They're the shoulders.
But wait 1 second. But that is not part of Benjamin's territory. I don't think that those are parts of Benjamin's territory. Correct. Benjamin's territory meets Judah's territory. So those other mountains are clearly higher, but I don't think those are part. Rashi anyway gives another explanation. He says, let's not build it at the highest spot. Let's build it a little lower, because there's nothing in an ox which is nicer than its shoulders. Just as the finest cuts, the shoulders are a bit lower than the head, so should the most exalted place, the temple, be situated a little lower than the highest point. Wow, I never realized that the shoulders are the best cut. He says that also?
Yep.
It's the best cut. Did you know that, Steve?
I don't agree with you.
All right, let us dive in the mincha prayer at this time. Let us dive in mincha. Yes, Shekor. What is?